A tiny baby crawled toward a massive dog 10 times his size. His parents froze in terror, unable to move. The giant Newfoundland lowered his head, and what happened next left everyone speechless. Before you watch, remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss another touching story like this one, and write in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is there. The late-day sun spread across the wood floor, making every hair of the huge Newfoundland's coat shine. His name was Bear, and when he sat down, he seemed like a hill in the center of the living room. His head nearly touched the side of the beige couch, and his paws took up more room than a large plate. On the carpet before him sat Ben, not quite a year old, wearing a soft white outfit from head to toe. His legs stuck out at odd angles, as if his small body hadn't yet learned how to stay balanced. But his eyes, round, interested, steady, stayed focused on the giant before him. "Keep him away," Sarah whispered sharply from the couch. Her fingers held tight to the corner of a cushion, worry making her shoulders stiff. On the other side of the room, her husband Michael bent down on one knee, watching closely. "Sarah, he's okay. Bear understands. See, he's staying still." "That's exactly what scares me," Sarah replied quickly, her voice quiet but firm. "He's not predictable. One hit, one mistake." She couldn't go on. Her eyes stayed locked on her baby, sitting before the dog who was 10 times his weight. Ben's hand, small and unsteady, reached forward. His round fingers opened and closed as if trying to touch the dark, thick fur. His mouth moved, making quiet sounds, then getting louder. "Da-da!" Sarah started to stand up. "Michael, I promise if he gets near..." "Shh!" Michael stopped her, raising his hand. His expression was worried too, but something calmer showed in his eyes. He had been around dogs his whole life, and Bear had never been mean. Yet even he felt his pulse race when Ben pushed forward and put his hand right on Bear's chest. The big dog took a quick breath. His ears moved, his head dropped slightly, eyes focusing on the baby. The noise of his breathing filled the space. "Oh, Michael." Sarah's voice broke. Bear didn't bite. He didn't make angry sounds, but the complete quiet, the moment stretching out, made it almost too much to bear. Ben, swaying, made a happy sound. Then, to both parents' shock, he spread his arms wide and pushed forward, trying awkwardly to put them around the dog's neck. His entire body fell with the movement. Sarah made a sharp breath and moved forward, but Michael caught her arm. "Hold on, watch." Ben didn't get far. His body leaned to one side. His head was about to hit the hard floor when Bear moved. One paw, huge, with thick fur between the claws, moved forward with unexpected care. It landed right next to Ben's back, holding him steady like a support. Sarah stopped moving, her mouth open in shock. He stopped him from falling." Ben laughed, hitting his hands on Bear's paw like it was a plaything. He made nonsense sounds, then pushed his face against the fur. His whole body relaxed as if he'd discovered a soft place to rest. Bear blinked in a slow way. His head went down, nose stopping just away from the baby's small face. His breathing moved Ben's light-colored hair. Michael said quietly, almost too soft to hear, "He's deciding to keep him safe." But Sarah still had doubts. She stayed close, hand shaking. "Michael, he's still just an animal. You can't be sure what he's planning." "Just look at him," Michael said back. "If he wanted to harm him, he's had plenty of opportunities." Ben touched Bear's nose in a clumsy way, then pulled on the long hairs. Sarah's heart jumped with fear. But Bear just breathed out through his nose, eyes closing halfway, as if accepting the rough touching. Then the moment came that stopped time itself. Ben sat back, eyes bright, and said one simple word: "Hug." His arms spread again, reaching toward Bear's head. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Her hands flew to her chest. "Michael, stop him, please." But Michael couldn't move. His own heart was pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. Ben leaned forward, arms still outstretched, waiting. Bear's entire body went rigid. Every muscle tensed. His eyes locked onto the baby with an intensity that made Sarah's blood run cold. For 3 seconds, maybe 4, nothing happened. The room felt like it was holding its breath. Sarah's vision blurred with tears of panic. "Michael," she whispered, her voice breaking, "do something." Michael's hand trembled as he started to reach forward, but then Bear moved, slowly, so slowly it seemed unreal. His massive head began to lower, inch by inch. Sarah's hands covered her mouth, stifling a sob. The dog's jaw was so close to Ben's face. One wrong move, one instinct. That's all it would take. Ben's tiny fingers stretched toward the enormous head descending toward him. "Please," Sarah breathed, tears streaming down her face. Bear's eyes never left the baby. His body continued to sink lower, lower. His belly touched the floor, then his chest. He pressed himself down, making himself small as something that massive could ever be. Until finally, his great head came to rest gently, perfectly, within the circle of Ben's tiny outstretched arms. For one frozen moment nobody breathed. Then Ben squealed, a pure sound of joy that shattered the tension like glass. He buried his face into the fur, his small hands disappearing in the thick coat, giggling uncontrollably. Sarah collapsed back, her hand over her heart, gasping for air she didn't know she'd been holding. Michael's legs nearly gave out beneath him. "Did you see that?" he whispered, his voice shaking. "Did you see what he did?" Sarah couldn't speak. She could only nod, tears pouring down her face. Not tears of fear anymore, tears of something else entirely, something she had no words for. Bear remained motionless in Ben's embrace, his eyes soft now, his breathing calm and steady, as if this was exactly where he was meant to be, as if he'd been waiting his whole life for this moment. "He chose him," Michael said, his voice thick with emotion. "He actually chose to protect him." Sarah wiped her face with trembling hands. For the first time in several minutes, she could breathe again. They understood what had just taken place was special, delicate, and impossible to forget. "Protector," she whispered. Sarah sat down on the couch, her body still shaking. "I can't understand what I just watched," she said quietly. Michael moved nearer, his throat tight. "It's not just chance, Bear. He realizes he's handling him like his own family." Ben shifted suddenly, his small body swaying. He tried to climb higher, his hands getting more tangled in Bear's fur. For a second, it seemed risky. Ben's fingers grabbed hard, his weight pulling. Sarah began to stand again, prepared to step in, but Bear changed position first. With care, the dog raised his paw and pushed it forward, putting it safely across Ben's legs. The action seemed planned, thought out. It was like he was holding the child in one spot just enough to keep him steady. Ben made happy sounds and hit the huge paw with his little hand. "Big, big," he said in his baby voice. Michael laughed quietly. "He's correct. Much bigger than he'll ever know." Sarah pressed her hands together, her voice steadier now. What if someday it's different? What if Bear stops remembering? Michael turned to her, eyes calm. "He hasn't stopped remembering once in the 5 years we've owned him. If anything, he's showing us his true nature." Ben pushed forward again, his head bumping without grace against Bear's nose. The dog didn't pull back. Instead, he pushed back gently, so slightly you could barely see it, until Ben started another round of giggles. The baby's laughing made Sarah's chest ache with relief and joy. She said quietly, "I was ready to grab him. I felt certain this would end badly." "And now?" Michael asked. Sarah's eyes filled with tears again, but different ones this time. She couldn't speak, watching as Bear moved his whole body into a resting position, lowering himself until Ben was leaning against his side. His heavy fur turned into a cover around the baby, who moved closer as if he'd located the most secure place anywhere. Ben opened his mouth wide suddenly, his body relaxing completely. His face pressed into the brown fur, and within moments his breathing slowed into sleep. Bear stayed perfectly still, eyes open and alert, ears moving slightly as if listening for any sound in the house. Sarah walked closer, her legs still unsteady. She bent down next to them, watching Bear's gaze shift from Ben to the room, to her, to Michael, as if daring anyone to come too near. His body was tight with quiet attention. Michael put his arm around Sarah's shoulders. "You understand now. He's not simply our dog, he's family." Sarah nodded, tears marking her face. "More than family, he's keeping him safe." And in that living room, a quiet agreement was formed, one of power meeting innocence, of confidence beating fear. Bear, the tall Newfoundland, had accepted his role without a single sound. This child was now under his care. Did you enjoy this story? If you were Sarah in that exact moment, watching your baby reach out to hug that massive dog, would you have trusted the dog and let it happen? Yes or no? Let us know in the comments below. If you like the story, subscribe to this channel and leave a like. Thanks so much for listening. See you in the next video. Have a great day.